Hello, and welcome to Non-Structural Provisions, Session 5. This video is all about guards. First, we'll discuss what a guard is and why it's not always a guard rail. Next, we'll look at when and where they are required, and finally, their geometry. The definition of a guard is significant. It's a building component or a system of building components located near the open sides of elevated walking surfaces that minimizes the possibility of a fall from the walking surface to the lower level. This is very different than a handrail, which we'll talk about in another video. In deck construction, guards can be quite diverse. Some are privacy walls or bench seats, some are elaborate kitchens or fireplaces. Still most others, are just guardrails. But those can vary from metal guardrails to metal sticks, to wood and metal combinations, to wood, glass, fiberglass, aluminum, composite, on and on. Guards must all provide a minimum performance, but they can otherwise be very unique. Required guards have different requirements than those that are provided by choice. So first, let's look at what makes guards required. When the edge of a walking surface is more than 30 inches above grade, measured from a point 36 inches horizontally from the edge, a guard is required. Previously, deck height for determining if guards were required was measured from the edge of the deck, and that worked fine for decks like these. But situations like this, that were obviously a fall hazard, could be built with no guards. With the horizontal 36-inch measurement, the place where height is measured from now better represents the actual hazard. It's important to remember that for slope sites, that it's a 3-foot horizontal dimension in any direction. If guards were to have stopped here, the height would need to be measured from a point both straight out from the deck and to the side. If anywhere in between is more than 30 inches below the deck, the guard would be required. The minimum required height only applies to required guards. At the sides of stairs, guards must be at least 34 inches high, and at the side of walking surfaces, at least 36 inches high. The 2009 and 2012 IRC require guard height to be measured from the walking surface of any fixed seating adjacent the guard. However, fixed seating is not a point to measure from for determining if guards are required, simply for what the minimum height must be. Let's go through an example. To determine if guards are required, we measure out 36 inches, and if the deck is less than 30 inches above that point, then no guards are required. A guard can be built by choice, and a fixed seat can be built by choice, and nothing changes. But if a deck was more than 30 inches above grade at 3 feet out, then a guard would be required, and it would have to be 36 inches high, measured from the height of the deck. Now, if a fixed seat was built adjacent to the guard, you would need to measure the minimum 36-inch height from this bench seat. Again, this does not mean that the bench seat is considered a walking surface, but it simply is a point of reference for guard height measurement. The typical bench seat, 18 inches high, would only leave an 18-inch tall guard against a standard guard like this. Building a bench with a taller back would work, but this one is only 24 inches high. A bench would have to look more like this and have a 36-inch tall back to satisfy the requirements as a guard. For a little insight into future code editions, with movable seating so common on decks and so easy to build, the 2015 IRC will no longer require guards to be measured from fixed seating. Required guards have limitations to the size of the openings through the guard, but the guard on these decks are not required and are not restricted in opening size. Opening limitations vary under a few conditions. At walking surfaces, including ramps, the area between the deck surface up to 36 inches high cannot allow the passage of a 4-inch sphere. But at the sides of stairs, it becomes a 4 3/8-inch sphere, and it increases again in the area above the tread to a 6-inch sphere. Looking at a stair guard as an example, this is the region that cannot allow the passage of a 4 3/8-inch sphere. The triangular region made up by the riser, tread, and the bottom of the guard cannot allow a 6-inch sphere to pass through. And just to complicate things, the stair riser cannot allow the passage of a 4-inch sphere. These opening limitations are only for the area up to the 36-inch height. Guards taller than that can be designed with unrestricted openings above that height. The final notes for this video are that guards can be of any construction that performs in the manner the IRC requires. Guards are required at the edge of walking surfaces that are 30 inches above the ground at a point 3 feet away from the edge of the deck. Required guards must be at least 36 inches high above the floor or fixed seating, but 34 inches high at the side of stairs. Opening limitations only apply to guards that are required and only up to the required guard height. No passage of a 4-inch sphere is allowed at walking surfaces and at stair risers. And no passage of a 4 3/8-inch sphere is allowed at the side of stairs. And no 6-inch sphere can pass through the triangle made up by the riser, tread, and bottom of the guard. My name is Glenn Mathewson, and I thank you for learning with me today.